Ladies and gentlemen of the internet, my name is Demigod Shmurda here, and welcome back to another video, and welcome back to another episode of Arrowverse Analysis. Arrow's first season has been off to a pretty solid start, so that means it's time for a potential quality dip. During the first season, Arrow was trying to be like the Arrowverse's Batman, and introduced tons of characters from his rogues gallery, like Deadshot, Deathstroke, and later on they even introduced the League of Assassins and Ra's al Ghul. Out of all the Batman characters they introduced, there was always one that stuck out to me, and it wasn't for a good reason. While Deathstroke was a great main villain in Season 2, Ra's at least tried to do something different, and Anarchy was done better on a literal kids cartoon a few years earlier, my least favorite of the Batman carryovers has always been the Huntress. I'm not a Batman fan, I just never got into the character, but it actually seems like Huntress would be a great character to introduce on the show. Not only is she a skilled street-level fighter, but she's an archer herself, and she's a fairly dark character when she's not the next in line to become Batgirl. Through my limited amount of knowledge and research, she seems like a pretty good fit for Arrow as a series. However, this is an inclusion that's always felt weird to me. Maybe it's just the performance from Jessica DeGao, as we've been able to see is the case for me with Laurel, but there's just something about this character that's never sat right with me. For no reason at all, Oliver meets Helena and falls for her instantly, and suddenly the show seems to just go off track. I think this dynamic could have worked if Helena turned out to be the season's main villain, with Oliver trying and failing to bring her into the light and ultimately deciding that killing her is the most sensible decision. But that's not what ends up happening. Helena shows up for 2 episodes, derails Oliver's character completely, and then fucks off until the end of the season with basically no repercussions and a brand new thirst for blood. But I'm willing to go into these episodes with an open mind and see whether or not I was wrong about the Huntress. I'm open to having my mind changed about this one. If this is your first episode and you're wondering how my rating system works, there's a detailed description down below, along with a link to all my other episodes of Overanalysis. But I encourage you to watch this one first. I'm sure you'll still enjoy it. There was not even one vote on last week's poll, so I just want to once again remind you guys, links to all of the polls will be in the description. Polls end on Sunday, so that I have 2 days to get the video up, which is to put everything together and get all the copyright checks and stuff like that in order. So yes, just make sure you're voting on the polls. They'll be in the top link in the description. There's going to be another one for this episode. With all that out of the way, let's return to the overanalysis. On November 28th, 2012, the David Grossman-directed episode Muse of Fire first aired, with this being Grossman's only contribution to the series. When Oliver's mother is attacked by a shooter on a bike, Oliver springs into action to get revenge. While on that quest, he meets Helena Bertinelli, and the two of them find out that they might have some kind of connection. Meanwhile, Tommy takes Laurel to dinner and finds out that his father's cut him off from his trust fund.
Hey, Mom said I'm supposed to remind you to pick her up for lunch.
Was I supposed to have lunch with her today?
Just bite the bullet and have a Cobb salad with the woman.
So already this episode's not off to a good start, because just at the end of the last episode, it was, like, Oliver and Moira's relationship isn't completely fixed, but they're, like, kind of on the same page now, and, like, they're on the level of, like, having lunch. Like, Oliver took her to frickin' Big Belly Burger in the last episode. Oliver is still distant, I'm not gonna deny that, but it's just, like, last episode ended off with that good resolution of that, or not resolution, half a resolution of that subplot, or that whole thing. And now we're just acting like Oliver and Moira are super distant and don't talk again. So I'm curious what the production order for this season was then. I'm actually going to look that up right now. I can't find the production order. So it does, like, stuff like that just, it makes me wonder if that's just like a continuity error in the show, or if it's like a production thing. Like they made this episode, or rather the Huntress duology episodes, before Legacies. And I can't confirm that. That's probably just my, my little tinfoil hat theory, but it does make me wonder if these two episodes were written and filmed before Legacies was.
Are you hurt?
No, I'm hurt.
Are you sure?
God,
Are you sure
I'm
you're
fine.
fine?
I'm fine.
Call 911.
There's a spider crawling along my wall. Hang on. I missed. That fucker's gonna be back. That fucker's gonna be back. I'm gonna get him this episode. Also, can we talk about how Oliver can casually run as fast as a motorbike? Granted, this motorbike isn't going obscenely fast, but Oliver is keeping pace with it on foot. Barry Allen who?
I'm sorry, I shouldn't have left you. I thought you were fine.
What do you think you were doing anyway?
Yeah, I wanted to get the license plate of the guy who took a shot at you.
Well, that was foolish.
You left Mom in the street, alone and hurt in the street. To get a license plate?
You don't believe me?
I love you. Mom loves you. It's getting hard when he won't be truthful with us.
I understand that Oliver shouldn't have left his mom there. I get that. Okay? I do. And they don't know that he's fast enough to run down a motorcycle. By the way, watch me call out that plot hole 1,000 fucking times. I don't know, I guess it's because, like, Oliver tried. Where it's, like, where the disconnect with me and Thea is here. I can't decide if this is in character for Thea or not, because now she's come around to the family. And again, we're just acting like the ending of Legacies never happened as well. So, this is the second scene in which we're doing that now. Does not bode well for this episode. I'm trying to go into it with an open mind, okay? I don't particularly like these two episodes, but I'm trying to not let that taint the experience too much. Example, I really like the Deadshot episode, and I called out a lot of plot holes, or baby plot holes, that eventually became full plot holes in there. I don't want to hate on these episodes. I don't want to. I want to go into it with new eyes, but I don't want to say we should commend Oliver for trying to get the guy, or in this case, the girl on the motorcycle, but it's like, Oliver tried to do something about it. And I get that he should, like, Thea's mad at him for not being there with his mom, but Oliver literally did something about it. I get that he can't say why, but still, it's like, Oliver tried to do it so that nothing like that could ever happen again. Should we not commend him at least a little bit, or give him a little credit? It's just... this is all weird. Also, I do have my fidget spinner, so I mentioned that a while ago. Now I have something to do with my hands during these episodes. It actually kind of keeps me engaged. It just gives me something to do with my hands while I'm like, Anyway, let's get back to the episode before I ramble a million more times, dude.
The guy that she was with was connected, mobbed up to the eyeballs connected. She wasn't the target.
Will you go out with me? Like, on a date?
You brought me dinner to ask me to dinner.
Well, I also did throw you a really big charity gala.
See, I thought you threw...
See, so we're talking about last episode like it did happen, but we're just completely ignoring the Oliver and Moira moment. It's... Okay. I don't want... Okay. We're just gonna have to accept that this is the thing and move on. I want to like these episodes this time around, okay? I do. Yep, there's Shadow's tattoo. They are really keeping it consistent. I'm impressed.
Paul Capani, he was trying to close a deal with her when they were shot at. Capani works for Bertinelli Construction. Bertinelli has a lot of enemies. The best way to figure out who's trying to target his organization is to get inside of it.
You ever thought about just being there for your family?
I tried that today with Thea. I can't very well explain to her
that I left our mother alone and bleeding on the pavement because I am fast enough to almost run down the attacker.
Yeah, watch that never be a thing again. I'll stop!
When I find out who this guy is, he's a dead man.
So the corkboard here is supposed to call back to the list. It's supposed to invoke that imagery you can see with Helena crossing the people off their pictures where Oliver crosses the names off their list. You're not supposed to know that this is a callback or a reference to the list. You're not supposed to know that. I know that because I've watched the entire show, and I know that they're intentionally trying to make the connections between Helena and Oliver, almost making them seem like they're the same person, kind of. But so maybe it's not that it's a little too heavy-handed, maybe I'm reaching, but, like, it's a detail that you notice on, like, your second or third watch of the episode, maybe not something you see immediately and you think of, like, oh, they're trying to make it, let's give her a list, they're trying to make them similar, you know, stuff like that. We even get the exaggerated crossing out sequence.
Mainly because I don't want you to find this out from someone else. That someone else especially being Laurel. We're going to dinner. As in a date. That's good. Laurel deserves someone special, and so do you. Oh, and Tommy, if you hurt her, I'll snap your neck. I'm just kidding.
It's so great!
It was my impression from the local news that you weren't going to be involved with your family's business.
The press never gets anything right.
Oliver, this is my daughter, Helena.
Hello.
Nice to meet you.
Frank, that meeting you requested, you can do it. Now.
I've got to go to this other meeting, but I need someone to take him to dinner.
So you pimp out your daughter.
I'm so sorry, something has come up. But Helena would love to take you to dinner and discuss the deal further.
Oh. I was hoping to speak with you.
Well, as you speak for your family, my daughter also speaks for ours.
It's really not necessary.
It'd be my pleasure.
Sure.
He falls for her instantly. I'm gonna play devil's advocate and say that this works if they introduce Helena in, like, episode 3 at the stock auction. Have Oliver share, like, one conversation with her or, like, accidentally bump into her or something like that. Then everything in this episode works because then it's not happening so suddenly. But I get that the instigating event with all of this, or maybe then it can call back and be like, hey, have we met before? And then it can be like, okay, they have, like, a little bit of this connection or something like that earlier, so it's not all happening instantly. Introduce Helena 4 episodes earlier, this works. Let no one say I'm not being fair! I didn't want to hate this episode. And I don't hate it so far, okay? I don't hate it, it's just little things. It's just little things. Like how they ignored episode 6, at least the ending. Or how this could have been slightly better if it was done like a couple episodes earlier, but I get that they probably weren't thinking that far ahead, because Arrow at this point is mostly episodic, with them building that overarching list narrative in the background. The individual stories are mostly episodic so far, but most of those stories have still connected back to the list, or connected to Oliver and his development and his motivation. So this one... is Frank Bertinelli on the list? Let me see. Frank Bertinelli is on the list. Why doesn't Oliver even, like, try to mask it as being like, oh, you know, I can get the guy that... I can get the guy that tried to kill my mom, or almost killed my mom, and stop this guy on the list in the same thing. We can do them together. It's like, why doesn't Oliver even try to mention that Bertinelli's on the list? Why is all of it happening all so suddenly, of it being like... And I get it, it's mostly an episodic thing. They didn't think ahead, that much ahead anyway, until, like, the back half. I think once they introduce Slade, that's when they really start, like, thinking about the back half. It's just like... It's getting at, like, the back of my brain where it almost feels poorly planned out. This has just kind of all been a moot point. I don't even know if I'm going to include this in the episode. There's China White's wig again.
What does the Triad have to gain by provoking you?
If not them, then who? Whoever it is, when I find out who's behind this, there will be blood.
How did they get a bug on Bertinelli? Fucking how?
Well, according to the coroner's reports, none of the Vicks took a clean shot. Half the bullets missed. Our killer is not a pro. Now this is gonna blow up into an all-out mob war.
Hey, can I ask you something? I know it must have been hell for you. Alone on that island for 5 years. But was there ever a day when you were just happy to be away from everything? No pressure from your family, no need to be the person that everyone else expects you to be. Was there ever a day when...
When I didn't feel lost, I felt free. More than one, and those are the days that I miss.
I'm not doubting that this is true. I'm not. What I'm saying is introduce her a couple episodes earlier, and then this conversation has slightly more impact than it, because it feels sudden. If it were me going into it again with the knowledge, not with the knowledge of the universe, but with like my thought process now, I'd be like, this is escalating a little bit. So introduce her in Lone Gunman, and then it doesn't feel... I'm going to keep parroting back this point. I've already talked about it enough. I'm going to stop bringing this point up. But again, just introduce her in Lone Gunman, have them share like one small exchange or something like that, and then suddenly this doesn't feel so sudden is all, you know?
I'm sorry, I'm afraid your credit card has been declined.
Did you swipe it a few times? You know, sometimes those things can be a little glitchy.
I did, and I'm afraid the credit card company wants me to confiscate it.
Can they do that?
Sorry.
I've never had my credit card confiscated before.
People are always asking me, what did I miss the most? Air conditioning, satellite radio. But those are the answers that I give people because those are the answers they're expecting.
You've been through a crucible, and it changed you. How can it not?
That's beautiful. Your cross.
It's a gift for my fiancé.
And there it is! There it is! The confirmation. Oliver has fallen head over heels for this chick, and he has met her a single time. And I get that Oliver is backing off of Laurel because, like, Tommy likes her. I get that. And it's normal to move on. You have met this girl once!
He died. That was my crucible.
It's really nice to be with someone that I can be myself with.
Diggle's supposed to be the person that that you can be yourself with. Diggle doesn't expect you to be the vigilante. He literally said that he was going to help you fight a war. Because war scrapes away little pieces of you. Diggle is literally the person that you are supposed to be yourself around. Is Diggle not good enough all of a sudden?
I have a confession. I didn't want to go out with you tonight.
That makes two of us.
I'm really glad that I did.
That makes two of us.
That's a good... I like that. That's a good interaction.
Bertinelli's enforcer, Nick Salvati, he's been paying visits to everyone who owes the mob protection money. The poor bastard on Russo's gonna be next.
Wait. Russo's?
It's at the corner of Adams.
I know where it is, Diggle. I'm here right now. I was having dinner with Bertinelli's daughter.
Did Oliver bring his suit with him? Oliver gives up going after Bertinelli's guys to get Huntress. Because the family thing is actually the most important thing to him. I'm probably going to cut it out of the episode for time, but there's a moment earlier in the episode with the corkboard thing where she's crossing the guy off. Where she takes off her helmet. Again, I'm probably going to cut it for time. But this moment where we get the thing where it, like... where Oliver takes off her helmet, that should have been the moment that it's revealed to the audience that it's Helena, as opposed to us finding out it's Helena early and then her showing up and it... Although I guess if we find out that it's her in that earlier scene and then we see her at the house, we're like, oh, shit! So wait, why is she going after her dad? It builds up a little bit of mystery. But we can still have that moment with the reveal later in the episode if... And it'll have more shock value. Because here, the shock value in this scene is, oh, okay, so now Oliver knows. And we're shocked that Oliver found out. We're not shocked that we found out.
Why is she targeting her family?
Oliver, you're not falling for this girl, are you? Helena Bertinelli shot at your mother. She also murdered 4 men in cold blood.
She has to have reasons for what she's doing.
Since when do you care about the bad guy's reasons? Oh, she is the bad guy, Oliver. She's the killer.
The only other time that Oliver has done something like this was with Derek Reston. And the reason for that was that Reston was hurt by Oliver's father. And it's implied that Oliver's father is on the list. With Helena, it's because they had one nice dinner together. And because Oliver can be himself with her. When Diggle's supposed to be the person, I thought that was the whole point of Diggle joining the team. This is the first major detraction from Oliver's character. And he never falls for another person like this. This is a completely isolated incident. At least to my memory.
Can I talk to you?
First hint of Malcolm's League of Assassins-ing.
It's my trust fund, which is comprised of my money.
Get in. I knew it was someone from the inside waging war against your father and me. I just never thought it'd be this inside. You dropped this at Russo's.
My father had Michael murdered.
Your rat of a fiancé was gathering evidence. He was talking to the friggin' FBI. Found a laptop in Michael's bag, Helena. That computer...
It was mine! My father is a monster who doesn't care who he hurts to keep his money and power, and I wanted it to stop.
See, that line, that's a direct correlation to what... Or direct callback, rather, to what Oliver said about the people on the list. They don't care who they hurt as long as they maintain their wealth and power. That kind of... That's cool! And I like that of course, they're zip-tied to the chairs, and then they break out of the back of them. Chalk another one for the Oliver kill counter. Did she snap his neck? I don't think you can snap someone's neck like that.
I didn't have a choice, Oliver. No one can know my secret.
Oh! I love that. That is a direct freaking callback to what he said. Literally. He's like, you don't have to do this. Yes, I do. Nobody can know my secret. I didn't have a choice, Oliver. Nobody can know my secret. That's so cool! Although now that I'm looking at it, it's so weird for her to say that line. Because it's cool as shit, but it almost doesn't make sense in context of the episode. I don't know why I feel like it doesn't make sense, but I just feel like it doesn't make sense for her to say, no one can know my secret. I can't quite put my finger on why, and I don't think it's just because I don't like this character.
It's been a while since the hood broke anyone's neck, and I didn't see any arrows lying around.
Well, I better pray that Frank Bertinelli blames the hood for this. Because if he thinks it's the Triad, Starling City is ground zero to World War III.
I do appreciate, though, that they're talking about the Oliver neck snap in the pilot. That's something I completely... Like, it's a cool moment, but it's something that, like, you really disregard as, like, not useful information. But here, it's, like, actually like, the fact that they bring it up is cool. See, there is some cool stuff in this episode. There is some cool stuff in this episode. It's just sandwiched in between the weird Huntress stuff.
When did you get back?
Just now.
Did you come home only because you heard I was hurt?
No, because I miss my wife.
You seem really lonely. And we all have our secrets, Ollie. Clearly, you have yours. And it's fine if you don't want to share them with us. But I just really think you should share them with someone.
Isn't that someone supposed to be Diggle? Serious, that's a serious question.
I'd ask how you got in here, but the Starling City vigilante comes and goes as he pleases, doesn't he?
What you're doing right now, I know that it feels like justice, but it's not. It's revenge.
Sometimes revenge is justice. Isn't the man in the hood fighting to set things right?
Yes and no. Because Oliver's dad asked him to right his wrongs, and so he has to cross off all the names on the list. That's how Oliver interpreted it anyway. The people on the list include Robert Queen. But the difference here is that Oliver's not out for vengeance. He's not out for blood. He's doing it to honor his father's dying wish and to make amends for the things that his father did.
Why is your vendetta more valid than mine? We're the same, you and I.
I literally just explained that, and also, we're not so different, you and I. They've been pointing it out all episode. They finally said the line. Here's the thing. I don't think we're not so different, you and I is a bad trope. I don't. I think it's very hard in the modern day to pull off because it's such, like, an oversaturated thing.
I have been alone in my hate for so long.
Diggle is supposed to be the person that you tell the truth to! That's the whole significance of that character! I already did the Filthy Frank stop this is cancer thing with Laurel. I should have saved it because now it won't be as funny! I'm gonna start by giving the plot a 2. This episode has a pretty messy plot structure with a lot of the things in the episode happening suddenly out of nowhere. The necklace thing actually has some pros and cons. Bertinelli did ask Helena to take Oliver to dinner after all, so it's not impossible for her to have dropped the necklace at the restaurant before she showed up as Huntress. I only point that out though to show you how easy it could be to explain away. I do appreciate that they attempted a reason, though, since it's pretty clear that the restaurant was empty when Oliver and Helena started fighting. Visually, I do like the callbacks to the pilot, but in the sense of the story itself, not all of it fits cleanly. Though I will admit that those moments are legitimately cool. The stuff with Tommy and Laurel is once again completely disconnected from the major storyline that we're supposed to care about. And while it does have some impact later on, there's still so many questions surrounding the Helena-Bertinelli family rivalry thing that it's really hard to get a good grasp on a reason for the Tommy stuff in the moment. And I don't believe we ever find out why Malcolm cut Tommy off outside of him just being a dick. There's also the random time fillers with the SCPD in the episode that serve exclusively as exposition for the audience. Oh, and Oliver can almost run as fast as a motorbike, and it's never even brought up again. Characterization will be getting a 3, though. Now, I actually had to redo some of my rating segment during the editing process for the episode because I actually realized what I disliked about Helena. I don't dislike her as a character. She's actually a fairly solid one, though she does have some problems here and there. I dislike her interactions with Oliver because their interactions diminish his character. Oliver basically acts nothing like himself in this episode whenever Helen is in the room, and it's not like he needed someone he could be honest with since he already has Diggle for that. Not that the episode acknowledges that fact. As for Helena herself, though, she was created to be a dark reflection of Oliver, the other side of his coin, and I think it works fairly well here. Though some of the callbacks to Season 1 don't make sense in the world when you look at those scenes in isolation, Helena and Oliver do have a lot of surface-level connections, like the lists and their journeys starting with the actions of their fathers. I actually really like when the writers go the extra mile to include parallels like that. Makes the conclusion of those storylines feel more satisfying, in my opinion. Helena's motivation isn't about her honoring her fiancé's memory, it's about her killing her fiancé's killer. And though they're similar in concept, the undertone of them is completely different. So yeah, the me from the episode isn't entirely my belief about the character anymore. Good on me for changing my mind a bit, I guess. Visuals will go back down to it too. The fights in this episode kinda suck. While I do appreciate a lot of the visual and audible callbacks to the pilot with Helena's list, Oliver and Helena breaking free of the zip cuffs, and the "nobody can know my secret" line, the rest of the fight just looks like really any other episode so far. The scene with Malcolm is pretty fun though, and definitely serves as quite the reveal for the audience that didn't check the name of the character John Barrowman plays on IMDb ahead of the reveal. Importance is tricky this week, but I'm gonna give it a 2. The Tommy stuff loops back around and is pretty important for the season's back half, but Helena only ever shows up another handful of times. There's the next episode, and then one more episode during this season, and one final time in Season 2. It's good to have the context for the next episode, but in terms of the show as a whole, or even just this season, this and the next episode are pretty skippable. And I'll give entertainment a 2 as well. I really didn't set out to hate the episode, and I was hoping I could find something I missed, but the entire project of the episode just didn't do it for me. Despite the fact that I like Helena now, there's still the fact that the more that I watched, the more problems I found, and the more those problems were exacerbated. The callbacks to the pilot are cool, but you can't base your entire entertainment on having cool callbacks or stunt casting. When you do that, you get the CW's Crisis on Infinite Earths. Maybe I'm alone in my dislike of the episode, but I found this one to just be a resounding meh. That gives Muse of Fire a score of 11 out of 25, making it the show's lowest rated episode so far. I promise I didn't go in trying to dislike this episode, and I'm honestly surprised we have a score as low as this early into the series. But maybe the next episode will fix this one's problems. Let's give it a go. On December 5th, 2012, Vendetta aired as Arrow's 8th episode, which was directed by Kenneth Fink, his first of only 2 contributions to the series. Diggle's faith in Oliver wavers as he tells Helena everything, believing he can show her what real justice looks like. Meanwhile, Walter digs a little further into Moira's dirty laundry and finds something more unexpected than he ever thought. And to top it all off, Tommy and Laurel join Oliver and Helena for the most awkward double date ever. They have kept Shadow's tattoo on him in every episode. I am impressed.
I kill people when it is absolutely necessary. It's not my opening move. And the way that you're going, you're gonna get somebody hurt, like my mother or yourself. What if I could show you another way? A way that you could take down your father's organization without putting innocent people at risk.
But I'm not interested.
3 years ago, she was going to turn her father into the FBI. She put everything she had on him on a laptop. Her father found it, thought it belonged to her fiancé, and had him murdered.
But it doesn't change the fact that she is dangerous. And if Bertinelli retaliates against the Triad, or is perceived to, the Triad is going to rain down hell, and innocent people are going to be killed.
I can save her.
Maybe you think you're more persuasive than you are. Or maybe she thinks she's fine the way she is on her mission of righteous fury. Whatever it is, either way, all of this, it ends badly.
Either way, I gotta try.
It
was she?
Somebody I knew a long time ago. I was dating her sister, and it was getting serious, but back then I did not do serious well. I started sleeping with Sarah. Before the island, I wasn't a good person. I was selfish.
I can't be hurt again.
Never hurt you.
This is a waste of time.
I'm trying to teach you something.
What, the least effective way to shoot people?
No, control. To use a bow and arrow requires patience and discipline.
That was a cool shot. This is kind of a fun sequence.
He left me with a list of people who need to be reminded that Starling City isn't theirs for the taking.
Anthony Venza is in here. He works for my dad. He deals illegal prescription pills.
I just got us a res at that new restaurant, Table Salt, opening night.
Isn't that place ridiculously expensive? Thought you were gonna live more frugally.
Yeah, I know. Everybody's a grown-up except for me. Even Oliver has a job. He's working on that new nightclub.
Have you ever thought about asking Oliver for a job?
Not even once.
This isn't a quality that I love most about you, but you do know the club scene and how to have fun.
You make some very valid points. But I'll take care of it. I'll talk to Ollie later, and we'll see what he thinks.
The money your wife withdrew from the company, I wasn't the only one who tracked it. She was being shadowed by another entity, and whoever it is, they're good. NSA good. I did manage to find one thing. Well, one image.
It's her crossbow! I have to ask how Oliver makes their suit. Or her suit, rather.
Anthony Venza!
And there's the suit.
You have failed this city.
Millions of dollars worth of illegal drugs confiscated, a massive blow to your father's criminal proceeds, and nobody had to die.
Oh, that's a cool shot. Oh, that's a super cool shot. Him through the glass. And there it is. There's the list.
Tommy Laurel, this is Helen.
Nice to meet you.
Pleasure.
Likewise.
You look beautiful.
Thank you. Why don't you both join us?
No. We're just gonna have a drink
We'd love
here.
to.
Are you sure?
How's the nightclub coming along?
Slower than I expected it to. I've been busy.
Well, then you must be happy to have the extra help then.
What do you mean?
Laurel, I'm sure that Oliver doesn't want to talk about work right now.
You didn't ask him.
Ask her what?
Tommy said that he was going to talk to you about working for you at your nightclub. You've always wanted to get into business with Tommy. I mean, don't you remember when we went to Aspen and you wanted to open the ski lodge?
The only thing that I remember from Aspen was your father being furious we shared a room with one bed.
Oh, feels so good. I'm gonna step outside.
I should probably go check on him. Helena, it was very nice to meet you.
Why did you have to say something to Oliver about the job?
You were supposed to talk to him.
Well, I hadn't.
Okay, I didn't realize. I was only trying to help.
No, you were trying to get Oliver to help.
Oliver and I are over.
Oh, really? Because you seemed awfully bothered by his new girlfriend.
What, am I supposed to like her?
I do not want to be Oliver's charity case, okay? To every day be reminded that I can't give you everything he could.
Listen. Listen, I almost knocked my mic over. Hang on, I'm gonna watch this scene again. Like the whole dinner scene. There's 17 minutes of this episode left. Wait, nothing has happened. That is hilarious. Oh my god, I have sat here in complete silence. Except for like a smile. And maybe like an offhanded comment like, oh look at that, she's got the suit. For 25 minutes! Whew! So Laurel doesn't seem bothered by Helena. Laurel's actually being pretty pleasant about Oliver and Helena being a thing. Tommy's the one that's actually the problem, and he's blaming Laurel. I completely misremembered this scene. I thought that it was Helena that started the problem. That's actually incorrect. Although, Tommy did drop a pretty subtle hint that, hey, I'm not comfortable talking about this. Though the overreaction is completely on him. There's a little bit of blame to go to everyone, or at least both to Tommy and Laurel. Because Laurel pushed it and ignored the, hey, I don't want to talk about this right now from Tommy. But then Tommy was responsible for the overreaction.
Helena, it was very nice to meet you.
See, Laurel's being pleasant during this entire interaction.
It's Oliver and Laurel. It always has been.
This scene sticks out in complete contrast to Legacies. Because it's... Although I guess without his money, maybe Tommy feels a little insecure. Would I be making that excuse if it was Laurel being the one freaking out? I don't know. That's...
Oliver and I are over.
Oh, really? Because you seemed awfully bothered by his new girlfriend.
No, she didn't.
Sorry I ever listened to you.
What? What is Oliver's fault? You invited them to sit with you! That is on you!
I'm not trying to hurt you.
So, making me have dinner with the love of your life is what?
On you! Ladies and gentlemen of the internet, fuck this character. I can't wait to put that part in editing. That's gonna be so fun to watch back. The worst part is that I don't even know if this is consistent with the previous episode for her.
This is just so new, you and me, and I didn't want you to see... I'm scared. I'm almost 30 years old, and I've never been given an ounce of responsibility in my life. You are driven and intelligent. You're a million times too good for me, even before I was broke. And now I have absolutely nothing to bring to whatever this is.
I never cared about the money.
Okay. Okay. You know what? This completely excuses that earlier scene, then. Not the Helena scene, though. Fuck that bitch.
I'm not saying that it's gonna be easy. But I'm here for you if you need someone to lean on. That's what people do when they're together.
Together like boyfriend, girlfriend?
Do not ruin this moment. It was going so well for you.
That's cute. That was cute.
I think you were right.
About which part?
All of it.
Oliver, you said you wanted to help her change. The thing is, she already did change. When her father killed her fiancé, she changed into something dark and twisted. You see that now, don't you?
It's not that I couldn't see it, Diggle. I didn't want to. I'm living a double life. And to do that, I'm taking all these people that I love and I'm putting them at arm's length. I'm giving up a lot. So maybe I thought the universe owed me one.
That I can understand a little bit, but again, Diggle is supposed to be the person that you don't lie to. So, if you want to do that in, like, a relationship sense and have Helena be that person, okay. But Diggle already fills the role of guy Oliver trusts above everyone else. Guy that Oliver tells the secret to.
I
don't speak Chinese, so I'm just gonna assume you said goodbye. Frank Bertinelli sends his regards.
He's dead.
This is for Jishan.
Linda, what is this?
Payback for Michael. You finally know what it feels like to find out your own blood is responsible for the death of your entire world.
Easily, he just flips her. That was funny. This should not be a fair fight. She survives this.
He's a monster, a criminal. Why would you save him?
The police have him in custody. He's going to jail and then on to prison.
They don't have any evidence on him.
They do now.
The laptop.
He's going away, Helena, for the rest of his life.
So, see, if... And I understand they would have had to search the premises, but it would have taken them a while at least to get into that safe. So why did he even carry the laptop with him? God. These episodes, man!
This is justice.
Also note, Oliver considers not killing people and putting them in prison justice. Just for the record, to the people that say he kills everyone on the list in Season 5. I am going to continue to hammer this point home at every opportunity that Season 1 and 2, damn it, gives me.
Then I guess you were right. I'm more interested in revenge.
So things didn't work out exactly as you planned. You did save Frank Bertinelli's life. He'll be doing time for a while. Justice wins out.
Helena doesn't see it that way.
You opened up, took a risk with your heart. The Oliver I met a few months ago would not have been able to do that.
It's been a couple of months? God damn!
Needs to be dark in here if we're gonna do this. If I had had more time to think of that sentence, it wouldn't have sounded so dirty.
Oh, Felicity, I love you.
I don't see anything.
I got these from Applied Sciences. They're able to pick up the subvisible variations in the UV spectrum. Now, look at the book again.
Frank Bertinelli. Oh, Scott Morgan. Where do I know that name from? Oh, it was that guy from Legacies. Wait, when did he die? Oh, in a tie-in comic called Prey that I have never read before and didn't even know existed. There's, what, 36 of these things? Judging by the plot of this thing, I hope to God these things are non-canon, because that completely screws over the show's timeline. So this is the second page of the list that Adam Hunt's name appears on, alongside Isabel Rochev. But as you can see, Danny Brickwell, and, who's the other one that's on that page? Hannibal Bates. It was Hannibal Bates. Holy shit! Yo! That is... Twice. I think it's a separate page, too. That's the second time. I mean, I found it the one time and I was like... But no, the fact that it gets reinforced that he's in the list is cool. Although I guess this is a separate copy of the list. This is Moira's copy. I don't remember why she has a copy. I do appreciate that it means that Season 5 did go back and look and tried to pay attention to the list detail on season 1. I just wish that they also paid attention to the Oliver doesn't kill everyone on the list detail.
My dad cut me off. He froze all my funds. I am living on fumes.
Why didn't you say anything?
Embarrassment, shame, jealousy, probably a few other emotions I'm not used to feeling.
Tommy, my trust fund is your trust fund.
No. That is the easy answer. And believe me, I have loved easy answers. What I need is a job. I'm trying to change. Not sure into what yet, but I don't want to be what I was anymore.
It just so happens that I have a general manager position that is available. You're probably the guy for the job.
Will I be getting dental? This smile wasn't cheap.
I will look into that.
Oh, I love Tommy so much, man. I'm gonna give this episode's plot a 2. The setup for this episode is pretty solid, with Oliver trying to save Helena and Helena not wanting to be saved. That dynamic absolutely can be done well. And I like the idea of the Bertinelli mob and the Chinese triad going to war as well. It's just a shame that this feels like a big event and storyline that we should have been leading up to. Hell, if it was in a later season, this probably would have been a big event and storyline we were leading up to. That way, the fight between Oliver and Helena would have felt a lot more climactic. Also, how the fuck did Oliver even know where Helena and her dad would be by that lake? While the premise is solid, there are a couple sticking points in the episode. 1, the dinner date scene. I have so many problems with this scene. Helena invited Tommy and Laurel to sit with her and Oliver, which means the entire thing is her fault and not some betrayal on Oliver's behalf. And 2, Bertinelli taking the laptop with him at the end makes no goddamn sense. Why the fuck he didn't just destroy that thing as soon as he confiscated it, I have no idea. And you know what? 3. It feels like nothing happens for the first 25 minutes of this episode. I'm also gonna give characterization a 2. If Oliver was trying to change Helena because he genuinely thought he could save her, then I wouldn't be complaining. But no, he's doing it because he's lonely and thought that the universe owed him one. And when that revelation gets revealed to the audience, yikes. And let's once again remember that Diggle is supposed to be the guy Oliver's honest with. Oliver is completely out of character basically all episode. If Helena was Jason Brodeur, Adam Hunt, or Leo Mueller, Oliver would not hesitate to crush her entire world. Helena, though, continues to be a well-written character on her own. Her scenes with Oliver suck ass, but she's incredibly competent on her own. I was genuinely surprised how much my opinion of this character turned around just examining everything again during the editing process. That being said, I can't just ignore her complete lack of self-awareness. She sees everyone as the enemy, thinks everyone is out to get her, and is so consumed with revenge that she barely has any emotion outside of anger. Take away the revenge part and it sounds like someone else we all know and tolerate these days. Also, Tommy's outburst at the restaurant was completely unwarranted. But we do find out why it happened, he apologizes, and he's showing some signs of legitimate growth. That said, Laurel should have taken the hint and backed off from asking Oliver about the club. And yeah, they make up for it later in the episode, but the initial moment leaves a more lasting impression than the later one. Take Helena out of the runnings, and this episode would probably get a 1, and maybe even a 0 here if I was feeling really critical. For visuals, I'm gonna go with our standard 2. That one shot of Oliver flipping Helena was funny, and it's cool to see Walter discovering the list, but the rest of the episode just kinda blends together. It doesn't even have the cool episode 1 callbacks to fall back on. Though I will admit that the Huntress suit looks nice. You don't get to see many well-lit shots of it during the episode, but it is a well-made suit. I also appreciate that they gave her the crossbow. They could have just easily given her a bow like Oliver, and that probably seemed like the way the episode was heading, but they went the extra mile with the detail. which is really cool. This season's been doing a lot of those little details, and I really appreciate the effort, especially after watching modern CW Flash, where it's clear that none of those writers give a shit about their jobs. Importance does jump up a little bit to a 3. This is the first major step in Tommy's development, and his friendship with Oliver is very important during the season's back half, not to mention the developments with Walter. However, a good chunk of this episode can absolutely be skipped. I'll give it points because Helena does show up a couple more times after this, but this is not a mandatory episode by any means. And I'll give Entertainment a 3 as well. It's not one I'll rewatch all the time, but it makes for a good enough conclusion to the Huntress duology for now. That gives Vendetta a score of 12 out of 25. Now let's get into the wrap-up. I think it's safe to say that I definitely have a different view of these episodes coming out of this video than when I went into this. I think the overall episodes suffer from trying to shove half a season's worth of storytelling into just 2 episodes, and Oliver completely gets shafted as a character in basically every aspect. But Huntress is actually a better constructed character than I remembered her being. At least in these episodes, I can definitely say that I like Arrow's version of Huntress now. So while my overall opinion of these episodes is actually worse than when going into this video, my views on Helena Bertinelli have improved dramatically. That said, let's remember that Oliver and Helena's dynamic does not work if Oliver enjoys killing people, as Season 5 claims. If Oliver enjoys killing and is trying to convince Helena that killing is wrong, then he is a hypocrite. And also, can we talk about how her accent fades in and out from scene to scene? Sometimes even in the same scene?
Air conditioning, satellite radio,
Tagliatelle.
Tagliatelle?
Right.
You've been through a crucible, and it changed you. How can it not? It's a gift for my fiancé. My father would kill me if I let you pay. So you pimp out your daughter. It'd be my pleasure.
Sure.
Anthony Venza is in here. He works for my dad. He deals illegal prescription pills.
Sorry I ever listened to you. You know what I've been through. I told you I couldn't be hurt again.
So, making me have dinner with the love of your life is what, Oliver?
Laurel was the girl things were getting too serious with, the girl whose sister's grave you used to manipulate me.
I saw the way you looked at her. That kind of love doesn't die.
And you still love her.
But I want to know what you guys think, so that's what I'll be asking in this week's poll. Do you guys like the Huntress? The possible answers will be yes, and I always have, yes, and you convinced me to, no, and I never have, and no, and you convinced me not to. I don't normally go over the answers, but I felt like it was important for this one since it's not just a simple, which of the episodes we watched today did you like the best? The poll is going to be in the top line of the description of this video. But anyway, that is it for this episode, guys. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to leave a like and a comment. That'd be greatly appreciated. Also, be sure to click that subscribe button if you haven't already so that you can join us as soon as freaking possible. And while I'm plugging everything else, be sure to click the bell so that you get notified whenever we upload one of these crappy videos. But apart from that, I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out, guys. This is Demigod Shmurda. Edge!